Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
I was thinking about this the other day. Probably one of the most important things that early humans needed, the most important thing. And people will argue with me, well, you needed fire. I mean, fire did help us advance, and tools and all those sorts of things and critical thinking. But the most important thing really was trust, because we had to work together, and you had to know whether you could trust somebody or not. And, sitting here in the 21st century, people probably roll their eyes at it, oh, that's not really important. But listen, when you are totally dependent, if your whole life is dependent on the person next to you, I mean, literally every day, every moment of every day, knowing that you could trust somebody was everything. And if you failed in that decision, failed in making the correct assessment as to whether you could trust a mate or a hunting partner or just anybody, you were done. And so I think early on, I mean, the people who could do it well, their gene pool lived on. The people who couldn't, well, they're long gone. But anyhow, I use that as a lead, and I've got a return guest on today. I've got Mark Given on with us again. I originally had him on back in November of 2020. And then it was a great episode. I actually re-released it this past March. It's episode, for those who, however you search our podcast, 233, re-released it on March 18th. But Mark is an Amazon best-selling author of 11 books. You go to his website, markgiven.com. Given, not Givens, Given. You'll see all his books and the MP3 programs, but he's the founder of what's known as the trust-based philosophy. And he's got a Trust-Based Academy, which is an organization dedicated to improving the lives of 100 million people worldwide. And in the last 17 years, he's delivered keynote addresses, breakout sessions at more than 1,200 events. And I don't know if that includes, he's on, so we can ask him. Small companies, big companies, associations, hotels, HR professionals, so on and so forth. And, his books are Trust-Based Networking, Trust-Based Leadership, Trust-Based Time Management. It's all about trust. And again, it's everything. Trust is everything. It might not be life and death like it was 10,000 years ago, but it's really still important. And the reason I wanted to have him on again, he's coming out with a new book, which really plays well into this podcast. The new book is called Trust-Based Referrals. And I knew he was coming out with it because he asked me to write a chapter for it, which I'm eternally grateful. But Mark, I wanted to bring you on and talk about it. And what's it say, and inspire people to go buy it. All your books.
Well, hey, Frank, thanks for having me. It's really, I feel so complimented that you'd have me back again too. So thank you for having me. I'm just grateful to be here. And to answer that little introduction question, that 1,200 really doesn't include programs like this. I haven't counted any podcasts or TV shows or radio interviews. Those don't count. So they've all been live events in some way that used to be live in person and now could be live in person or live virtually. So anyway, I'm just glad to be here. I thank you for coming. And you're so right. Back in the ancient days, we had to trust each other. If you were alive in the Neanderthal areas, but today it's really no different. It may not be life and death, as you said, unless possibly you're in the military and you have one of those responsibilities where you really do need to trust the person beside you. Maybe even at times in in other areas of our world, if you're in law enforcement or things like that. But regardless of that, I don't spend much time really speaking to people in life and death trust issues. I talk to people like you and me that we need trust in relationships. We need trust to build our own lives and help others succeed. And we need trust in our work and what we do. And by the way, trust is the foundation of success, which includes referrals, because nobody's going to ever refer you if they don't trust you. That's really what this new book, Trust-Based Referrals, is about. The byline on it is proven ways to stop chasing strangers and start captivating your sphere of influence. And although that title is really business related, I don't keep it just business related in the book, because it's about 24 hours a day, right? It's about all of the interaction we have with other people, other human beings, as to whether we're building trust or we're destroying trust. And so how do we build it? How do we create it? How do we build it? And then when we mess it up, how do we repair it? How do we fix it?
Yeah. I mean, what you talk about in your books and in your talks, and just, trust in general, is we really undervalue it. I mean, I'll tell you a quick story. I was, when my kids were younger, I don't know, they were probably 5th, 6th grade. My oldest was 5th, 6th grade. And there was a conversation about braces. Who do you use in town to get braces? And there was somebody in town that was well known, names everywhere, right? There's always somebody, there's always one vendor that's just kind of, they're everywhere. They've just done a great job of marketing. And somebody said, well, I'm going to go to this person, and I'll leave their name out of it for obvious reasons here. And one woman piped in and said, I will never use him. And I'm like, well, why not? And she said, because he cheated on his wife. And that just really bothered me. I mean, not bothered me, but it was just kind of perplexing. What does that have to do with anything? But then when I really stopped and thought about it, and this carries over to, this harkens back to what I said earlier about how we really needed to trust people, is that it's not just me trusting you, my analysis of whether I can trust you, or I don't make the determination based on just our interaction, but I look at your interaction with other people as a means of determining whether I can trust you. And what this woman was saying is listen, if he cannot honor the most sacred promise he's made in his life, what's he going to do to little old me?
Yeah. Or what might he do? That's right.
What might he do?
That he wouldn't tell, right? Or he wouldn't share.
Right.
Or what else might he done? Might this individual have done that I don't know about? Because once you taint trust, it carries over into other. Well, what else might they have done, right? Or what else do I not know about? So,
right.
I mean, trust is people so often think of trust as just a concept, Frank. That we know it when we see it, and that's true. I mean, we do. We have these inner impressions. We have thoughts, we have feelings. We listen to other people and what they say, especially if we trust them, right? Then we trust their beliefs. But trust is not just a concept. There really is a science to the levels of trust, right? In other words, how do we work through it so that we build this wealth of trust, so that when we do make some blunder, especially with these people that trust us, then we can overcome that, and that's the top of the pyramid, obviously, which is the repair. But it's really about that grand opening. How do we create that some simple level of trust, and then how do we go from just grand opening to developing it, right? And then increasing it, improving it, and then maintaining it. And then hopefully we'll not have to use the repair section, right? But there you go. That's the pyramid. So, and certainly referrals fit nicely in there, because if we don't build it, maintain it, right, continue to establish it, and the principles of that, we won't get referrals. I love to tell a story. Do you mind if I tell a quick story? It's at the front of this book.
Hey, we're on a podcast.
Because I love to tell stories, and people love stories. So it's at the front of this book, and actually the editors, I've got it out to the book's out right now for the final editing, and then it'll go into the final design. But I've had about half of the 7 editors, because they all see different things. About half of them have already contacted me in the last 2 weeks that have said, hey, I love that first story. So let me just tell you really quick what the first story is. When I was in college, my college roommate and I just really had a great relationship. And he had a girlfriend, which is now his wife. So Mike Taylor was my college roommate, and his girlfriend, Donna. And one time Donna came to me and said, hey, I've got a friend that I would love for you to just meet. There's a concert coming up that we can go to at the college. I went to Elon College, which is now Elon University. And there's a concert. Let's take him to this college concert here in North Carolina. And why don't you invite my friend Janice? And I said, well, Don, I don't do blind dates. I've never felt comfortable with that. They often just don't work out. She said, no. This is going to work out for you. You should let me invite Janice to come, and you be her date for the concert. And so I relented, and I said yes. And that was way back in 1978. I met Janice Jones at the time, who was a cheerleader at NC State. I was just a little college in Elon. And I'll be darned if a month later, we didn't date again for another month, because I didn't think that she would ever date me again, because she was a cheerleader. I was a little goofy trumpet player at Elon College. And I'll be darned if we didn't go on another date, and all because of that referral that I accepted from a trusted friend, Donna. Janice and I have now been married 44 years, have 5 kids, 11 grandkids. Our life has been just wonderful. And it all started because of a referral from someone that I trusted, who said, no, you should go on this blind date. Dates are referrals too. So it's not just about business. My whole life has changed because of that wonderful decision that I made to accept a referral. My lovely bride is a referral. And I think I understand referrals. And if we think about it, we all get it. I mean, we all have stories, maybe not just like that, but we do have stories of how referrals have really improved or blessed our lives. And at other times, we just made a decision on our own without a referral. We just guessed, right? Or we did an online search, and maybe we believed what was the review online that was not the truth. But when we get a referral from a trusted friend, from a trusted associate, it can change our life for ourselves, and it goes both ways, as a receiver, right? Or as the server. So referrals are beautiful. What a wonderful thing. And Frank, you were awesome to participate in the book. You did a great job. Anybody that wants to buy the book, you should buy the book to read Frank's parts. He was brilliant. Well,
I appreciate that. I really do. No, I love that story. I'm glad you told it, because it does underscore the notion that when we think of referrals, when we think of selling, when we think of networking, we think of business. And life is business. It's not 9 to 5. It's 24/7.
365. And by the way, it's easy to look at referrals as business related, but the foundation of all these referrals is still a misnomer, I guess, or maybe that's not the right word, but it's something we don't often talk about, which is trust, right? In other words, if we don't have trust, we're not going to recommend. If we don't have trust in an individual or in a business, we're not going to recommend it. And then we're cautious to give recommendations if we don't have a high enough level of trust. So that's where the science fits in, because it's not just I used them once. No, I've used them multiple times. Here's my experience. Just like the dentist. And yet, right, it carries on beyond just your expertise. It carries on to your character.
Yeah.
Referrals can often be about character too.
Well, it's a lot of times when I talk to people about networking in general, I'm not necessarily using the term referrals. I will use dating and personal relationships as a backdrop because it's something they get, right?
Everybody understands that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Would you have two wives? Oh no, that would be silly. Well, why are you pitting one person against another here? That doesn't make sense. Can you see the potential betrayal that somebody would feel? Yeah. Okay. Now I get it. All right. Lesson over.
So I've got, you're so kind that we can do this about the book. I mean, the book starts simply with everyone needs referrals. And that's the story of Janice, right? We now call her Gigi because our grandkids call her Gigi, but that's the story in Proven Way. When I write, and Frank, you know this because you've read my books, you have some of my books. I don't really write just what the normal author would call chapters. I call them proven ways. And so Proven Way 1 is everyone needs referrals. And it carries, this book as 23 proven ways. Everything from we all need referrals to I've got 5 degrees of customer bonding, making referrals easy, building referrals through client events, right? Building referrals through programs like yours. That's what you wrote for us, right? Encouraging and building service partners, right? So that's referral organizations. I talk about the wow factor because not only do we need the referral, but we need to keep the referral, right? So that they'll refer us on. So that those referrals are like that cobweb that we were talking about pre-podcast today. So the wow factor, which I like to call amaze, amuse, surprise, and delight. How can we do that constantly? And, I've got a little proven way on here that you're swimming in referral abundance. And then, there's 23 proven ways. And I write in a simple form. And then I ask a question at the end of every proven way so that the reader can apply it to themselves immediately. In other words, what did I learn by this? And you don't have to, what's cool about the way I write the book is that, and all of my trust books, is that you don't have to actually read each in order, right? You can pick one and you can, if you got, in this case, you could read every one. If you were just going to do one proven way a day, it wouldn't take you 5 to 10 minutes to read one of the proven ways. And then you could put it down and not worry about it until tomorrow, right? You could get through the whole book in one proven way a day over the course, in this case, 23 days. So, and then apply it to yourself because that's the goal. It's for building trust. We need to apply. It's not about what Mark Given thinks or my experiences. It's how can you apply it to yourself to make that proven way work for you? And some proven ways, Frank, probably will resonate with you. When you get an opportunity to read the whole book, there will be some that resonate with you more than others, right? They're more applicable to you than others. That's why I had you and ask you, and you were so kind to do the Proven Way 19, which is about referral organizations, because you know all about that. You're the authority, the master on that. So why would I write that? Right? I need an expert, somebody. So that's why you wrote that.
Well, I appreciate that opportunity. I do. I just wanted to let people know that these are quality books. All these are quality books. If you go to markgiven.com and you find his books, a lot of them he has discounted. It's the same quality book, but they look great on a shelf. They're a great read. Mark, thank you so much for coming on. Certainly for your friendship. We always have a good laugh when we talk.
And we do.
And the opportunities you've given me, and it's just nice it's nice to know people like you. It really is.
Well, thank you. Look, our lives thrive in both personal and in our business lives, on both sides, when we have trust, and when we damage trust, that's when we have some additional struggles that are not things that we want or would enjoy. So I appreciate, Frank, that you give me the opportunity to come, because as a friend, I trust you, right? I mean, I do. And we've never actually even been in the same spot where we could shake hands. Because of COVID, excuse me, we have done this a number of times virtually. And one of these days, I'll get up to Ohio and we'll break bread, right? Or you'll come coming through North Carolina and we'll get a chance to have some barbecue or something, right? So
yeah, no, or it could be just somewhere random we run into each other and it's like, oh my gosh.
we'll be, the world is back out to us. I'm back out traveling again now. And I mentioned a little while ago before we came on that I'm still not back to all live and in person. I love live in person because I build deeper relationships, I think, that way. But it's great to build relationships this way too, because I'm all about building relationships and creating and developing and maintaining trust. And that's how we build a life that's really fun, worth living.
Yeah. Well, you have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Love being here. See ya.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AMSPIRIT.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.